What's up everyone? My name is Shaelyn and on this channel everything's all right. It's been a long time since I filmed a My Disability in Detail video. As I said in the very first video in this series, I only had, I think, 4 or 5 videos planned for this series. Unless you guys can think of something else that I can talk about to do with my disability in detail. But yeah, this one's all about my noggin. Like always, I have my notes so I don't get sidetracked because it's weird up here. First of all, welcome back to the 3rd episode in my series, My Disability in Detail. Like I said, this one's about my brain. And by that, I mean how my stroke affected my brain, how it's changed since before my stroke, kind of in a way I'm gonna be able to talk about that. It's kind of hard because obviously I didn't have any like neuro testing before my stroke to compare it to, but yeah. If you do want to hear all about my stroke story, I am going to be like briefly going through some points of it in this video just so I can touch on the doctor's notes and things like that. But if you want to hear the whole story, I'll put a card in the corner so you can go there. So you know how these videos go, I kind of take on topics and then like disperse the information under each topic. So that being said, first topic is my initial diagnosis. So going back, I had my stroke on October 5th, 2015 at approximately 11 o'clock p.m. So as per notes that were reviewed by a doctor, the night of my stroke, I received a CT scan of my brain at 1:59 a.m. on October 6th, 2015, because I had my stroke on the 5th at like 11 p.m. So it was just about 3 hours after my stroke symptoms started, which by the way is still within the time frame of being able to receive TPA. So at that point, things should have been looked at for that. So in the notes, the doctor said, this was reported as not showing any intracerebral hemorrhages or pathology other than a possible left-sided C1 and 2 rotary subluxation with the recommendation of possible C-spine CAT scan. A lot of these words I'm not going to be able to explain very well. I kind of went over it with my husband before I started filming, just so that he could kind of explain what this foreign language means. And then the doctor reviewed these notes and stated that there was no CAT scan done as recommended in the report. To follow that, the doctor reviewed the CT scan that they mentioned and said, I see a paucity of the sulci on the right side and some areas of hypodensity that do suggest that at this stage there was some evidence of possible intraparenchymal lesions such as an infarct. There was no evidence of any bleeds. So I think that these notes were made like a couple days later after my stroke. I'm pretty sure this was the neurosurgeon that was reviewing everything. Unfortunately, the CT scan that I got at first, which might I say was done hours after I arrived at the hospital, so things were not really moving as quickly as possible. If you want to hear more about the malpractice and mistreatment that my family and I received that night, definitely go watch my stroke story video because I go in depth with all of that. But anyway, the doctor also stated that I had cervical spine x-rays done on the oblique view and that it looked like there might have been subluxation at the C1 and 2 level, but that it's not very clear. The doctor stated her MRI scan showed multiple areas of right-sided infarcts involving deep matter internal capsule as well as the frontal, temporal, and parietal lobes, as if she had a shower of emboli. I didn't get my husband to explain that one, so it has something to do with being able to see that I might have been having a stroke. I don't know. It's like a lot to kind of unwrap as somebody who's not a healthcare professional, so bear with me, please. The doctor also said, on the MRI, it also shows a long segment of right internal carotid artery dissection, which extends up to the beginning of the supraclinoid portion of the internal carotid artery, and then the anterior cerebral and middle cerebral arteries appear intact. This MRI that they're referring to didn't happen until, I feel like it was like 6 or 7 in the morning. So this was already way past the time allotted to get TPA or even think about possibly getting TPA. So like I said, I wasn't taken seriously. So TPA wasn't even taken into consideration for me. I did have an outside neurologist do kind of like a look over my like scans and things like that. And right away, he saw in the first CT that I got that I had stroke symptoms or a visible stroke happening in my brain, like in the scans, that obviously the radiologist missed. So that's really unfortunate, and I was just doomed, I guess. So I'm gonna read my official diagnosis made by the in-hospital neurologist, just so you guys can kind of understand or hear what my like written diagnosis was. Diagnosis is patchy right internal carotid artery ischemic CVA secondary to internal carotid artery dissection. A cause for dissection is presumed to be neck trauma from dancing several weeks earlier. The patient did have neck pain subsequent to that and attended physiotherapy but did not receive chiropractic manipulation of the neck. And then further on, the neurologist said that he suspects that I suffered a dissection at the time that I was dancing a few months earlier, and that there might have been a microclot that was dislodged at the time of my stroke. So third topic is post-stroke surgery for blood flow improvement, which a lot of people do get. You'll see stroke victims with like indents in their skull, and that's to like relieve pressure from, I think it's the other kind of stroke though. I don't think it's ischemic, I think it's hemorrhagic. Pretty sure. Is to like stop the brain from swelling, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but something to do with that. And this is what they were kind of looking at for me, stenting. This is, I'm pretty sure the neurosurgeon wrote this. They said a neurointerventional radiology doctor evaluated the patient regarding possibility of stenting or interventional care. It was deemed that because of the timing and the location of the lesion, it is not one that would be best served by any interventional procedure at this point. I agree that in the management should continue to be giving antiplatelet therapy and then providing aggressive rehab therapy. There is no role for any neurosurgical intervention at this time. So I actually do remember speaking to the neurosurgeon about stenting and things like that, which was really our only option for any type of like improvement to my situation. Unfortunately, they did explain to me that because of, like they said in the notes, because of the location and I guess something to do with the timing of the lesion in my brain, that doing that, they said that it was too narrow to go in there. They said that I would have a risk of dying if they put me through that. So they just thought that the best case scenario would be to leave it. And then they said to continue antiplatelet therapy, which is just my baby aspirin that I take once a day still. So yeah. The next topic that I'm gonna cover is present day. So after hours and hours of like psych testing in hospital and outpatient psych testing, I swear, like I was in the psych room doing these testing procedures for so long. It honestly took hours, to the point where I was in the psych office all day. Like I would have a lunch break from doing psych testing. I was so like honestly physically exhausted as well as like emotionally exhausted. It's like really hard to describe if you've never done any type of psych testing or anything like that, but I remember dreading it. It was just a pain in my butt, to say the least. But as a result of all the psych testing, the psychologist that I worked with did determine that I indeed developed a type of learning disability and traumatic brain injury from the damage that was done by my stroke. And I pulled a little definition up on Google of a traumatic brain injury in case you've never heard of that term or you're just unsure of what I mean by that. Because honestly, I didn't really know what it was either when I first heard about it or learned that I had one. So it says, traumatic brain injury often occurs as a result of a severe sports injury or car accident. Immediate or delayed symptoms may include confusion, blurry vision, and concentration difficulty. Treatment may involve rest, medication, and surgery. Yeah, I've never received any kind of surgery for my stroke or medication other than my aspirin and some muscle relaxers that I went on before. Not still on, but yeah. But because of my mild learning disability and traumatic brain injury, I did acquire some accommodations while I was taking classes in college, and that included extra time for assignments and extra time for tests, which I was also offered when I was doing in-person classes. I was also offered to go into like a separate room so that it kind of like took away some distractions for me while I was taking tests and things like that. Honestly, the extra time for tests and the like separate room for the test taking, I definitely took advantage of. I found that extremely helpful for me. But the extra time for the assignments, I honestly didn't really need because I'm pretty good at managing my time and doing assignments at decent times. So I basically ended up doing them by the regular dead time regardless. That was good. It was nice to have as like a backup just in case, but I didn't really need the assignment one. And yeah, that's all I can really think about to talk about to do with my brain and my diagnosis with my stroke. If you guys have any questions or have any suggestions for something that I can talk about with this one, let me know in the comments or DM me on Instagram or message me on Facebook, whatever, wherever you can find me. Go ahead and message me and I can add it in addition to a future video, or I can answer it in the comments, what have you, things like that. So if you are an ischemic stroke survivor or any type of stroke survivor, I would really love to hear your stories. So if you want to leave those in the comments as well, I'm sure it would help other people feel not so alone with their situations too. And I also hope that this video helped you maybe not feel so alone. And also, if you've never heard of young people having strokes, then I hope that you learned something new in today's video and that I was able to spread some type of awareness about it. Let me just drop the signs of stroke on the screen just in case you don't know them. I like using the abbreviation BFAST, and the way that you can remember the word or the two words BFAST is if you suspect a stroke, be fast. That's the way I think about it. But yeah, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching again. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, follow me on all my socials linked in the description down below, and I will see you next week for another new video. Okay, bye.